Hi, my name is Ayub, and today's episode is with Łukasz Kasprzyk. He's the co-founder of Buenas Buenas, a specialty coffee brand that is redefining ethical coffee culture. Łukasz combines his expertise from a coffee academy in Bogota, Colombia, with a commitment to direct trade, sourcing beans from sustainable and socially responsible micro plantations in Colombia. With Buenas Buenas, he's creating not just exceptional coffee, but also a transparent and eco-conscious coffee experience. So let's dive into his journey, vision, and passion for crafting premium coffee. Welcome to Business Blueprint. Łukasz, thank you so much for being here. Really excited to have you. First thing I want to ask you, how did you get into coffee business? Because you had a career in iGaming and gaming industry. Yeah. How did you make that switch?
Yeah, so I've worked for iGaming for over 10 years. And the last company that I worked for was a little bit tiring and exhausting for me in terms of like a work environment and people around it. So I decided to take a 6 months gap, like completely, just to connect with the most beautiful country that I know, which is Colombia. I've been traveling there for over 12 years now. So I decided it's a good spot just to rest. And just before taking the flight, I thought like, how about opening a coffee shop in my hometown in Szczecin? So I said, okay, so I'm going to coffee country. So probably I will learn something around coffee before actually opening a coffee shop, because I'm this type of person that I dig in. I cannot do something if I'm not confident that I have knowledge. In every aspect of the business, when I was a journalist, when I was working for iGaming, I always search for knowledge. So I decided to look for some courses and stuff, and I met fantastic people in Bogota. I read an article being on very small island called Mucura. I read an article about Nicole. So she has her own coffee farm, and she went through amazing path from actually not dealing with coffee to have a coffee farm with a specialty coffee category. We will get back to this categorization after, but it was so inspirational. And I just wrote her an email. I said, "Hi, Nicole, I find your story outstanding. I think it's a great success. Could you help me go through the same path?" And she answered the next day in the morning. She said like, "Hey, let's meet in Bogota. Let's meet in an academy, coffee academy, which I graduated. And let's see from that point if actually this is the story that you would like to join." So we met in Bogota in the academy run by Manuel Prieto. And we just started talking, and I said like, okay, so what should I know about coffee, how to start this? So they said, okay, you can join the academy, but before that you will be in the academy you will be with Colombians who probably already have knowledge about coffee, about plantation, about coffee seeds, about coffee trees types in general, the agriculture related topics. So they said, you need to go to a coffee farm first. And Nicole has a coffee farm, so maybe she can host it for a few weeks. And that's how it started. So I went to coffee farm of Nicole. I spent there a few good days learning about basics of the coffee, because coffee, it's not something that we see that it's already brown in the coffee machine. It starts in the ground, it starts in the soil, it starts with beautiful story, with amazing hardworking people. This is coffee for me. The coffee is not the drink that I have during the day. It's just everything, the effort that it's needed to produce it. So that started. I learned, and then I graduated a coffee academy. And on the course, I just started to understanding what I want to do, how I want to do. And actually I was in this academy with Marco, a Colombian guy, my life partner now. but we started this journey together. So over these weeks, learning about quality, about sensorics, about roasting, about equipment, about brewing methods and technology. There's like a lot around it. So over that, we were starting thinking, okay, so we actually have an idea what to do in Poland. So we will open our own small roastery. We will import coffee, specialty coffee, to Poland from the farmers that we know, because the ecological aspect is important for us. Social aspect is important for us. For me, especially being in Colombia for years, and knowing a lot of people, I wouldn't take advantage of Colombian people. And sometimes it happens with just low pay rates, etc. So this is important for us, just to build something extraordinary and have direct connection with coffee farmers and take this coffee here to Poland. And that's how it started. So the history is, it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence because I just wanted to open a coffee shop. But because of the person that I am, I cannot do something that I'm not confident of, that I have no knowledge.
And so why coffee?
Why coffee?
Yeah. Why did you want to open a coffee shop from the first place?
Because of the people, like the story. So the connection that I felt with people being on the coffee farms, they're amazing people. They're good people. They're hardworking. You can call them friends. You have this connection, immediate connection. So that's why the coffee industry in general, because when I went to the coffee farm first in highlands of Colombia, it was so beautiful. You have connection with nature, you have good people, you have plenty to eat, some good food and good fresh fruits, like growing everywhere, literally. If you want mango, you get mango. If you want guava, you have guava. If you want pineapple, you have pineapple. If you have, I don't know, orange or whatever, you just have it. It's so amazing. So the story is not driven by economical or data-driven analysis. It's a story of love to the country and to the nature and to the drink itself. So before joining to the academy, I used to drink regular coffee, sometimes even instant coffee, sometimes a commercial coffee, and now I cannot drink it. And it's not because I'm the crazy person or difficult person to deal, but it's just because of the taste now. So it tastes completely different. The specialty coffee is something similar to wine. When you have access to wineries across the world, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, behind good bottles, there is a certain name, right? You can read about people who are actually good in it. And the same goes with coffee. So if you taste specialty coffee, it will not taste burnt. It will not taste like something strong roasted. You can feel different type of nuts, walnut, cashew, depending on the region, depending on the Arabica species. It can go towards citric flavors. Last time we just imported a coffee that tastes like watermelon. Can you imagine that, drinking a coffee that is similar to watermelon? It's so far different from what we know about coffee. It's like teenagers or young people who try their first coffee. So the first coffee experience for us is really bad in terms of quality, because specialty coffee is about quality. So you get on the coffee farm, there are certain processes, like you need to harvest fruit that it's not overripe or underripe. It's just like with strawberries. If you have a mousse with strawberries and 50% of strawberries are already overdue or like overripe, what taste would you get? You know that every Polish person know that it's not good to drink, and the same is with coffee. So the majority coffee that's on the market is very low quality. That's why it's cheap. But specialty coffee, it's a slightly with higher price. So the story is not driven by the economics, but it's driven by my personality and interest that just happened to happen on a certain period of time.
That is very interesting. So walk me through coffee basics. Yeah, you mentioned that coffee is not what we drink in the morning, but there's more to it. Can you define that?
Yes. So coffee can taste completely different from what we know. And usually people that are into specialty coffee, so a category that gets at least 80 points out of 100. So, you have like 5 people who are very good in their sensorics, who can smell different things, taste different things, like with wine. And they are gathered around, let's call it this table. There was a red light above them, so they don't see even like the color of the grinded beans, etc. And the first they are smelling, and just they're smelling, and then they are pouring water, and they have another layer of smell, which is fragancia, aroma. And then the third tasting is actually they sip very small quantity of beverage, and they describe it in 8 layers. So, for instance, density, sweetness, fragancia, aroma, body texture, because some coffee can be heavier on your tongue, some coffee can be lighter, some coffee can be called transparent, some coffee can be called like rounded, etc. So it's happening very similar to every aspect of food industry that we call, I don't know, gourmet, right? Like, let's imagine that you eat Chinese noodles, the noodles that will create a person by themselves. It's completely different from a market noodles. The same goes with wine. The same goes with coffee, like with what we eat, right? So this is happening with the coffee. They are marking, they are 80 points above its specialty coffee, and it's far different from what we drink. And normal person that didn't have a chance yet to try this coffee would say that maybe I don't even like it, because it's so far different. It's like acid, it's fruity, it's not the coffee. And people, they are right and they are not right, because we are talking about people preferences. And when we are talking about people preferences, they have right to choose whatever they fit for their preference. And coffee can be prepared in a very different way. So people who love specialty coffee, they don't usually use espresso machines. They just pour it over drip, hammocks, so the alternative method of preparations, just because of the extraction. So the extraction, it's very important to get these flavors. And we are for the flavors. So some coffee can cost a lot of money because it's processed in a very unique way. We were happy to work with a coffee farmer. Look, like in Colombia are 400,000 coffee farms.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot. Like for 50 million people, it's a lot. It's really crazy. And there are small farmers, so up to 10 hectares. So you have 400,000 people that process coffee in their traditional way, which is called washed coffee. So when you have a fruit, you open it, you have a seed, and on this seed there is a small layer called mucilago. If you try to like eat it, it will be very sweet. So washed process tells you that it's completely rid of this mucilago, and there is nothing about this layer anymore. And there is a most popular one. But there are 3 different types. For instance, fermentation, natural. So I'm just going to this point where from 400,000 farmers, you have like literally few of them. They can process coffee in a very specific way of fermentation, that coffee is closed for 400 hours in a special barrel. And there is a fermentation process happening. And we got this coffee, and we made amazing feedback from people, even from people that are not into specialty coffee, because we just opened the bag and let them smell, and they were saying, oh, it smells like an oak barrel. oh, it smells like a rum. And literally, coffee can have, even up to this point, that when you drink it, it's translated towards oak barrel or rum. So there are different, really crazy profiles and very standard profiles, but it's endless words. So people ask me why you don't go to so many countries, where you focus on Colombia, and I just repeat them. Look, I have no lifetime to try coffee from the number of farms that I would like to. It's simply impossible, because we have our farm, we have coffee farm, like the only roastery in Poland. We have our own coffee farm in Colombia. So it's located in Norte de Santander, and let's say that 15 minutes from our coffee farm, with 20 kilometers per hour driving, because it's mountains, it's not that easy just to go from one place to another, but the distance is very short. And there's our farm, and there's Carlos Farms, and we use the same Arabica species for harvesting and growing, and it tastes differently with the same processing. So what I'm trying to say is that when people say, oh, I'm drinking coffee Arabica, okay, that's great. I'm drinking coffee from Colombia, oh, that's great. I'm drinking coffee from Brazil, that's great. It tells you literally nothing. It can go so deep into the specifics that it's really impossible to understand. So people who are learning about coffee, for instance, in Europe, they cannot grasp that. They are in the specialty academies, where they just taught about brewing methods, about roastery, and they cupping the coffee, and they're trying to understand why this is different from this one. But if you are not there, and if you have not lived the experience and really into the details of the processing of coffee, you are unable to understand the complexity of this industry.
Got it. So what makes the Colombian coffee special, and the Colombian methods special than other countries?
It can be, every country can be great. Every country can be great. That's for sure. But there are some countries that the soil material is special and unique for coffee trees, but that's not the only aspect. So very important is that the farmers who grow specialty coffee have understanding of what's around the coffee trees. So they seed, for instance, fruit trees, or plantains, or they are creating different environment, because coffee does not like extent of sun. So for instance, if you have a lot of sunny days, it can simply burn the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of days with moisture, with strong humidity coming, I don't know, like 2 weeks in a row in the evenings, then the fruit can be over moisture and just simply overdo. So there are very different techniques that needs to be done on the coffee farm, and then processing to get special coffee. But Colombian coffee, so I just wanted to make this introduction that I'm not in favor of any country, because coffee from different countries can be great, but the technique of how you run your farm, it's extremely important, and what you are collecting is extremely important. So coffee fruits are not growing equally.
Mm-hmm.
So today we have, let's say that this part of the table, actually it's the part of the coffee farm, and we are dividing into the two. So this part can be already grown, this part not necessarily, or some of the three parts can be left green or yellow. So in specialty coffee world, you hire people to handpick only red cherry, let's call them cherries,
okay,
fruits. And then in the 2 weeks, you tell these people to come and harvest again, because this is already good to be handpicked. So, and it's cost behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to hire people twice or 3 times for the same area. Whereas in the different coffee farms, where they are not aiming to be specialty coffees, they just do it one time, because they they don't have money, they don't have resources, they don't have knowledge even that in the market your price can be higher. Not mentioning like automatic harvesting. So I was in Thailand with Marco this year, and we discovered as well different farms in Thailand, and their coffee was good, was really good, amazing.
Okay.
So it's not about the country, it's about the way that they are cultivating. But Colombia has it's called the best balanced coffee in the world. That's they award like few times in a row this award. So there is something about Colombian coffee for sure, but not only coffee from Colombia is great.
Okay, what was an experience for you that was outstanding working with Colombian people and having your own farm in Colombia?
First, their openness. Here in Poland, and even now in Szczecin, sometimes it happens that people simply find themselves as a competitors, but competitors in a negative way.
Okay.
So they are not talking to each other. They are not open to, to interaction. When I go to other coffee shop in Szczecin, like 50% is okay, right? But there are some people that you can feel that they have a strong distance, and I don't know why. I don't know why it happens. Whereas in Colombia, in the academy, there are people who are in the same business, but they are to support each other. Farmers are supporting each other. Coffee shops, roasteries. There is this exchange of knowledge, constant exchange of knowledge, and not looking at the other person as a competitor, that if you share this knowledge, then your business is down or you can go wrong. That's something outstanding. That's something that make a difference for us and for sure Colombian people.
That's very interesting. That having that whole ecosystem very well connected and supporting each other, I think this is what makes them very strong in the coffee business in general, globally. And so what is the difference between a specialty coffee business and a standard coffee business?
So specialty coffee business first is limited, because if you have 10 hectares of coffee farm and you have, let's 10,000 of coffee trees, you have limits of production. You can go up to 2 to 3 tons of coffee. If you're good, you can sell this coffee with higher price. Some people are selling this coffee for really, really high price. So I would just give you an example. So regular coffee from Colombia can be bought for, let's say, 5 to 6 euros per kilo. This category like Excelso. Excelso, I think. And then you have specialty coffee, which you buy 9 euros per kilo, but you can also end up paying like 30 euros or 50 euros per kilo. Green coffee. Green coffee is different from roasted coffee. Green coffee is to be roasted. And while during the roasting process, you lose 15% of the weight because of the moisture. So this price, it's even more impactful if you think of for the end product. So the regular coffee can be cheap, and specialty coffee can be really expensive, but it depends on the coffee farm reputation, and it's more difficult in operations. What we do is that we need to talk to very different partners. To fill up one container, we would have to talk to 12 farmers. Let's call it this way. While for the regular coffee business, if you want to have one container, you just ask the big warehouse in whatever region in Colombia, and they can supply with this, because there are different Arabica types in it. There is no so much quality control, so it's mixed. It's like blend, right? It's blended coffee, while here you have single origin.
Yeah, and so I want to understand what's the difference between the coffee that we drink in big chains like Starbucks or Costa Coffee and the coffee that we drink in smaller businesses, and how is that different from the back end, yeah, is there enough supply from these farms to supply all these big chains and also smaller players? And does that affect the smaller players when big chains can, have unlimited money basically to get all the supply from these farms?
Yes, I think for the big chains, they will not be run out of the coffee. I don't think so, because out of 400,000 farms in Colombia, only 5% grow specialty coffee or is even aware of that. There are people from the farms, there are people from the regions that struggle a lot in terms of economics, in terms of education, in terms of different difficulties, transportation, everything, what you can imagine from the social perspective as a country, how it impacts on the day-to-day people's life. So I witnessed this many times. You visit a coffee farmer and you explain him that if you do this and that, you can earn more money on per kilo, but he's not interested into it, because first, it's something that it's out of his comfort zone, or it's something that is related with financials to invest in improving production, on improving harvesting. So the majority of the coffee farms still will supply the governmental facilities, like in Colombian country. So in Varsovia, you would have one warehouse that it's run by the government. In Krakow, you will have one. Even in Legionowo, you will have one. So depending on the structure of the country, but there is a lot of locations where farmer can give their coffee and get instant money. Okay, that's like in Colombia, every farmer is guaranteed to be paid for the coffee, so they don't need to find me or call me. In Poland, they just do it, right? The price is changing, depend on the price on the New York stock, the conversion between Colombian peso and USD, etc. So these chains will be always supplied because it's simple for people. It's simple, but for specialty coffee, it's far more difficult. But then there is a price for it. So if you go to Starbucks or any other chain, you drink lower quality coffee. You may find it important or no, depending on your personal taste, right? But that's the truth. You cannot provide good quality coffee just from the quality point of view in bulk, in that insane number of tons of kilos that are transferred to every country from so many countries that grow coffee. It's simply impossible because there are shortcuts, right? As like explaining on this part of the table. That's very simple.
So why do people go to Starbucks?
Because of the brand, because of the brand and what you can get from the brand. It's fascinating, but it's a part of the marketing. Like every aspect of the business. If you run coffee shop, restaurant, decoration for home or furniture store, right? You can go to furniture that is small, but you can go to IKEA, or you can go to Agata Meble. So you have choice. You have brand. You know what you can get from there. Whereas if you go to specialty coffee, like someone needs to introduce this aspect to you, right? There is a barrier for you to enter, or even you are unaware that it exists. As simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah, I see a lot of specialty coffees trending here in Poland, and so how do you see specialty coffee's future in the next few years or in the next decade? Is it going to be growing? Is it going to be, are we going to see more specialty coffees in Poland, in other countries as well?
Yeah, definitely. We will see, but it will come with a price. So because of the huge demand that will arise, what farmers and what intermediaries would have to do is just to mix single origin coffee into the blends. So as I explain you in this coffee farm, if I have two tons of coffee, I can produce only 5,000 packages of 250 grams. That's all what I can get you. And in the specialty coffee world, this package will be labeled. So you would learn that this is produced by Buenas Buenas. It's grown on 1,600 meters. The Specialty Coffee Association score is 85, etc. So this is one package. And now, if there's a lot of specialty coffee shops, what we need to do in order to have this more? We cannot have, but we can have a different profile. So mixing Arabica variety like Castillo, Caturra, and let's call it Red Catui. So I have 3 types, and I simply collect them and I blend them. Okay, so they are still good quality, but I blend them, and then I create a package. So I don't have 5,000 packages, but I have 15,000 packages. So now I can just distribute it to a different coffee shops, and that's okay from the business perspective. But let's be reminded that only single origin and single variety of Arabica can get you the best taste. Okay, so that's why I said they will be growing. There will be more coffee, still better coffee than the commercial one, but it will come with a price where you will see less extraordinary coffee, or you would have to pay more for this extraordinary coffee. So example from Thailand and Paris, where I was this year. So Thailand, in Bangkok, the number of specialty coffee shops for square meter is insane. We didn't even have time to go to the ones that we really wanted, like for the full list. Completely crazy. Whereas in Paris, there was so little specialty coffee shops, and I don't know why. Maybe because of the culture, maybe because of the commercial aspects of the business that you need to run in Paris and pay. But wherever we entered in Paris, the specialty coffee shop, there was a queue, and we had to wait for a coffee brewed in alternative method for 25 minutes. 25 minutes waiting for a coffee. But for people like me and some of my friends, it always will be worth it, right? To get this cup of coffee, if you have time, obviously, than just enjoying a coffee that is coming from a chain. That's for sure.
And how about doing it at home? Is it better, or is it even possible to do best quality coffee at home?
Yes.
And what stops people from doing that instead of going to specialty coffee shop?
So first, prices in specialty coffee for the 200 or 300 milliliters, you need to pay 5 to 7 euro in Poland. So that's the first, or of its batch brew. Batch brew is just coffee that is prepared and it's waiting in a thing that just keeps the temperature, but it loses its quality over time. Just a small note. So people brew it in home with Chemex, drip, AeroPress, or some people do it even in just straight to cup, or like in Colombia they do it in olla, so it's in a pot, right? So they boil water, they wait 2 minutes, so because you cannot put coffee to boiling water because it will be slightly overburnt. So they wait 2 minutes, they add coffee, they top it for 5 minutes. The seeds are going down because they are good quality seeds, so they are going down. They are not on the top of of the water, and they just pour it to their glasses. So there's very different ways of preparing good cup of coffee. It's about good cup of coffee, always about good cup of coffee. The way to do it can be different, but what people struggle to understand is that it's less important your equipment. The foundation is the coffee quality. It's foundation. You cannot have good coffee even if you do all this process, the grinding level, ratio, coffee grams to grams of water, temperature of water, etc. You can do all of that, but if you have bad coffee, then your effort it's simply wasted. But it takes time. But all these ratios and stuff that people now may think that, oh my god, it's too complicated. It's like very complicated for a cup of coffee. you simplify your processes. You just do it like, do you think that people in the countryside in Colombia, they have weight and they're just trying to get 12 grams of coffee or
Exactly,
500? They don't do it. They do it with their instincts. They know, they drink it day to day, so they know if they have a tablespoon or big spoon, they just add it and they know what level of water they have they have in the pot. And the same would be if I have just glass on the table. I put a spoon, I let it pour, and that's it. But somehow people just went away from this method of preparation. Like Chemex is 19th century way of brewing coffee. And what's wrong with that? Nothing, completely nothing. Like people had a taste, they wanted to have a good coffee. But now we're just industrialized with all the equipment, espresso machines and stuff. It's very simple just to go open your day button and drink this coffee. But just frankly, I do it sometimes. I do it as well because there is no time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what I wanted to ask you. With coffee machines, like it makes the process so much simpler, and so I believe this is why people tend to kind of prefer saving a little bit of time over wasting a little bit of quality of the coffee that they get. Yeah. But I wanted to know, how do you choose the best coffee when you go to a coffee shop? Yeah. Like I'm gonna go buy one coffee for me. What do I look for?
Okay, so first it's about what you like. If you like fruity coffee or less acid coffee, so this is your first choice, right? I go A or B, and if you go A, then probably your choice would be something around Brazil, because the Brazilians are really good in terms of this low acidity, sugarish profiles. If you want fruity, then it's up to your preference. Like natural would be strongly fermented, so not all people like this type of flavors. Honey and washed will be just smooth, transparent fruitiness. So I go with this transparent fruitiness because I like fruity flavors, but I'm always open to try different. Like for instance, I was one time in specialty coffee in Medellin, and I tried variety that is gush gush, and it struck me with its difference so deeply that I was so happy trying this cup of coffee. It was something incredible, really. So it was like a tamarindo profile, and it was also fermented, but was not in a fermented the way that I don't like, but actually it opened something very different for me. So profile, and then I always choose, if they have single origin, I always go with single origin. If they don't have single origin, then I try to make a choice. But for instance, if I'm at the places like airport and there is one coffee shop that I can see from the beans exposed to people what quality it is, I prefer to drink tea, which I'm completely unaware of how it's produced. And
got it. And if it's at home, what's the best method that you recommend for people, whether it's machine or otherwise?
I would recommend, but it's different, right? I always recommend what people like. That's very tricky person. But like we were at the coffee farm years back when I was unaware of specialty coffee word, and we were on a coffee tour, and there were like people from different countries, and they asked the guide, like, what's the best coffee in the world, because they were expecting to hear that is actually the coffee farm that they are visiting now. And he said, the best coffee is the coffee that you like. If you like with sugar, you drink with sugar. If you like with milk, drink with milk. That's why I always respond around. So sorry for not being straightforward, but from the quality, from your preference, if you're in a hurry, just drink from the coffee machine, but just get some better quality coffee. That's all what I ask. So just don't feel burned, don't feel tired, something horrible smell. If you compare 2 cups, if I would brew you 2 cups, you would immediately recognize the commercial coffee and the specialty coffee. So just please drink better quality coffee first, because it's better for for environment, as I explained about everything that's around the coffee farm, and because of the people, because they are paid higher wage. And if you have some time and you have no skills, just grind coffee in a coarse way. Just have 1 tablespoon of coffee and pour it around 150 milliliters. Let it be brewed for 5 minutes and enjoy your cup of coffee.
Okay, and so where are the best places to get coffee for general public? Where is it in supermarkets? Is the coffee in supermarkets good, or does it have to be from specialty coffee providers?
Specialty coffee providers. Okay. I didn't find any specialty coffee in the supermarkets.
Got it. Let's talk about business side of it. If I want to start a business in coffee, what is the best path to take? Is it opening a coffee shop? Is it producing coffee? What do you think?
It depends on your skills. So I was very lucky to have this coffee farm. Like for people outside of I don't know, it's nearly impossible because few factors needs to happen. So first, you need to have someone to trust. And in order to have someone to trust in a country like Colombia, you need to speak Spanish. You need to spend there not 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You need to spend there a few really good months and just associating with different people. You also need to have some resources. And if you buy this coffee farm, then what? You just can come and enjoy the view and the mountains, which is amazing. Actually, by the way, I told people that were responsible for researching, I told them, you can have the best soil in the world, but if there is no view, then we are not buying it because it's extraordinary to wake up 5 a.m. and to see the whole world. But you know what I mean? Like, you need to have people to trust there on the ground as well. And then if you have this coffee to who sell for the price, that will cover all of the expenses of the specialty coffee world. So more farmers, more producing, more equipment, being more details into the process, etc. It's pricey. It's not that simple. Okay, so now coffee shop or roastery, right? Roastery, if you have zero experience, that I would recommend for sure just to be hired in roastery and just understand what are the level of roasting, what goes with the roasting, because it's not that simple. It's really not that simple. You have like curves depending on the moisture, depending on density, depending on the process, if there's less sugar or more sugar in the bean, etc. So you need to have knowledge. So either you got it like I did in the country that is specialized for it, or you start your journey with third parties that are already existing in the market. And the same goes with coffee shop. Coffee shop, it's rather simpler to open because you have imagination as a person, and there is a lot of movie stories and series stories. Well, people are just giving up their works and they are opening the coffee shop and everything is beautiful. It may be the case, but in 90% it's not. It's hard work. It's exhausting. It's if you have no traffic, you're just killing yourself. How to get this traffic to my coffee shop? What am I doing wrong? Is it wrong with the product? Is it wrong with interior? Is it something wrong with me as a barista, as a person that serves people? So get your finances really well organized and be prepared. And it's not a joke. Be prepared for 1 year of putting your own money into the business.
So how much money is required to start up?
I think that's about around 200,000 zlotys to open a coffee shop in Poland.
Got it. So 200,000 zlotys for viewers is about $50,000 to start up. And what's the next step? So now you have this, you go to learn how do you choose the right suppliers, how to find the right space if you decide to get a farm. How do you go through that process?
Yeah, so for instance, for the location is critical. So let's be very frankly with the subject. People will always choose side products like what can I eat in terms of salty, what can I eat in terms of sweet, plus the location, then the coffee quality. And I run the specialty coffee business, but I know what I know the business very well, because the volume of people that are coming every day and are looking for some snacks, it's much greater than the volume of people of the specialty world. So that's very, very important. Like, you need to have, I'm not telling you give up the specialty coffee. I'm telling you just do the specialty coffee more ordinary for people. So what they can eat and also what can they drink in terms of different beverages. So not only like very good, fancy cups, but, cream, sugar, and stuff. For people from the specialty coffee, it may be strange, but that's how you make money. As simple as that, right? You need to have a mix of people. So location and side dishes are far more important, in my opinion, than the coffee that you would serve. And it's very strange what I'm now telling you, because we are talking about coffee business, but the coffee business is not about coffee anymore. It's about creating space and vibes for people and just letting them enjoy beverages and snacks. You can make a step up if you have good coffee, right? But if you have good location and if you have snacks, that's all what you need to take. But if you're competing with the other coffee shops, then do this, do that, but improve on your coffee, on the coffee supplier. One small tricks that are around the coffee business is that you will be approached by companies that offer you espresso machine, but you're attached to buy their coffee. So I say, if you have resources, don't do it. Buy your coffee machine. It doesn't need to be the most expensive machines. Really, I will not tell you what's worth my coffee machine in shop in Szczecin, but I will tell you that it's far less from the top coffee machines that are offered to people who start their business. Why? Because I focus on the product, and my coffee people feel difference still, because it's not dependent on the coffee machine, it's dependent on the coffee. But people don't understand it because how they can learn about it, right? It's nearly impossible, and you're attacked by many sellers. You're looking in the internet and there are different guides and so on. So it's far different from what you would learn on the internet and the articles. Coffee machine is nearly not important. Coffee product, it's very important.
So where do you find the right supplier for your coffee product?
It can be so in the specialty coffee world, it's good to change your coffee supplier. So for instance, you buy beans from roastery A, B, C, D, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Germany, so you just have multiple options for people, changing over week to week. That's the trend in the specialty coffee shops. But
is there a platform where to find these people, or how do you look for them?
You just need to look for some recommendations, probably, to start. From my friend, or just go through different coffee shops and see what labels you can see on the shelves, right? It's very good way of starting business. For instance, how did we find coffee in Thailand, producers in Thailand? How did we find, if we were to Thailand with just one person that had no knowledge about the coffee but had connections in Thailand and could get people who speak Thai? We went like 3-4 days trip for the coffee shops, and we were trying different coffees, and these coffees were exposed on the shelves, and we could read at some, not all of them, but we could read farmer, who is the farmer. And then we asked until we get to the point of the high mountains of Chiang Mai, where we found these farmers. That's how you make the research, right? It's about the research. You can find a platform. There are good platforms on the internet with the coffee, but always you need to be guided by your taste. If you have no knowledge, then you just observe what other people do, and then you learn in the first weeks what your audience likes.
Got it.
Right.
And so how do you deal with the logistics part? Yeah. So you found your supplier in Colombia or other country. How do you bring your coffee to the coffee shop or to your own country.
So if you run a coffee shop, then it's simple, because there are even like small partials that you can buy for your coffee shop, for your brew. It's not for the roastery, but for your coffee shop, right? If we are talking about the roastery, then it's you have suppliers, the green suppliers, and thanks to the open market in European Union, you can find suppliers in Netherlands, Germany, Poland as well, right? We tend to be green coffee suppliers in 2025, but we just need some good capital. So there are intermediaries about the green coffee. Just type in Google green coffee, and then your choice is, if you are very small, find suppliers that allow you to buy 5 to 10 kilos of green coffee, because usually it's 70 kilos. So if you buy 70 kilos, you're attached to the 70 kilos. And if you don't like the profile, then you're screwed. Like, you need to sell the 70 kilos, which is not cheap. Or your audience is not liking it, then it's not good. So start with baby steps. It's very good for the business. Baby steps, but not to put every resources that you have in bulks, in coffee, in packaging. Just find the solutions that are slightly more expensive, but then it gives you a comfort and gives you a dynamic of potential change to your audience. That's very, very important. We invested far too much, and I'm telling from my experience, far too much from bulk solutions. So one of the mistake was just create full print packages for coffee, because I thought, it's beautiful. We have like a visualization attachment to Colombian, and on the side there is like a pájaro, a bird in English, and on the other side there's like a monkey, and it's so beautiful. But people from the specialty coffee world, they look at the package and they thought like it's commercial coffee. Because they like just a very simple package, label on it, like whatever, just label it, and then you have a pricey product, right? And I had really good product, amazing product, and I produced it in Colombia, and I spent a lot of money for thousands of these packages, whereas we should just find a solution for a small doi pack or whatever. If you want printed, like full print, okay, but not too funky, nothing extraordinary, and just leave a place for a label, and then produce labels, and you have, and your life is simpler. And if you want to change anything because you're inspected by the sanitarian authorities, and you are getting wrong the date of expiration or product description or whatever, you can just change it, right? You don't need to then think of very difficult workarounds. So green coffee suppliers, small. If you want to buy anything outside and you are not registered as an importer, you cannot do it. We are registered as imported. Okay. So for the roasteries, that's the end. You just find your green bean supplier. If you want to be importer, that we are like free. We are importer, we are roaster, and we run coffee shop. If you want to be importer, then apart from all the paperwork that you need to do, you need to know the market, and knowing the market is you need to live in this country for years, or you
Got
need.
it. And what are the other criteria for becoming importer? From the paperwork, or from the meaning, like, is there any complex process to become an importer? Do you have to have certain certificates, certain amount of money allocated to the business? So
money, for sure, you need to have money, and now depending on the scale that you want to go, so you need to have this operational skills. So if you do it for your first time, for sure it will be painful, but I do not recommend to rely on third parties. Okay. I just recommend, if you want to be that path, just try that out and call sanitarian authorities. What will be required, and in Poland it's not so simple, because one sanitarian office can tell you this and the other can tell you that. I've been there, and it's not that simple, but eventually we achieved that. Don't go with intermediaries, because if you are importer, then you want to have all the knowledge how to do it with this simple paperwork. Of course, logistics, partner up with companies on the ground, partner up companies here for the logistics. That's obvious. You cannot do it on your own. And then operations skills. On the ground, you need to know how to speak to the people and want papers to demand, like ochratoxin, for instance, ochratoxin laboratory, or certificate of origin, or how to mark the bags that are coming, right? That it's one series of a product. But it's nothing difficult. But if you put a person that literally has no skills, just to go through it, because it's going through it, it's asking, double checking, and making sure everything is okay, then you are not fit to it. Then then you can partner up. You can have a capital and just partner up with someone who can do this job for you.
Got it. How important is branding in the business? I know that for the product you mentioned that it's not really that important, but for the business as a whole, let's say I have coffee shop, how important is that?
Oh, it's very important. It's look, we have top product, amazing product, top quality, even with unique selling point, which is that we know the farmers where coffee come from. But it was so difficult to go through the competitors and to actually get to people's minds. It's something that I didn't expect. I thought I have good product and just come now and buy it because I'm providing to you. You are fortunate to have this product because we are the only ones who do it. And we are like building our local advantage in terms of the economic, right? We are the small company that can do these things, and there are big companies that they are not even doing that. So just come and get my product. But it's not that simple. It's very, very important. You need to know exactly what your story is. You need to know exactly what your unique selling points are, but everything it's coming from the audience that you are targeting. And we read it about it every book, right? Every book tells the same. Audience and unique selling points and your story. Everyone tells that. But somehow when we open the business, we think that we are so good. I don't know, our interior is so good, or people who are serving are so good that we don't need to do these basics. Whereas we must do the basics at all costs, because otherwise you will be struggling. And if you don't have capital to sustain, to change your mindset, then you will be broken. So the branding is it's super important. If you do local your business, then do not rely on some mass media. Find a local media that can speak for you. And they're so powerful. Really, it's so powerful. We are even unaware that on Facebook, some not big name newspapers can have much more impact on the local community than the other people. And for instance, influencers. We have one good example because we opened a brunch place and breakfast place as a second one in Szczecin, and we have really good interior, like something that had not happened in Szczecin, because furnitures, are white or creamy compared to different styles, like more dark and so on. And one of the influencers just look at it before opening the shop, and she wanted to record a video, and based off that video we had so many people that we were not even expecting. So for the business it was bad, because it was the first type of restaurant that we run, because too many people, but it works, but you cannot stop with this. You need to do all the time the branding, all the time contracting someone, all the time having new ideas. And so people sometimes thinks, I will open my coffee shop and I will live steady and happy. It's like in the jungle.
It kind of became a prerequisite for any retail store or any physical institution, whether it's a coffee shop or restaurant, to have an Instagrammable spot where people can take good photos and share them, which is amazing actually to see. And so I wanted to ask you about the online selling. What do you think about selling coffee online, and is it better than selling it offline on in-store?
On our example, it's in the opposite. So in the in-store, there is much more. We are selling much more than online. And why is that? Because online, people need the brand. They need to know the brand, right? Look, I have my coffee farm. I can tell you I have very good product, but people don't know me. They don't know if it's fake. They don't know even if it's worth it. They trust what they see offline, and that's very important. So our goal for 2025 will be to find a private investor that can make our Buenas Buenas, which is more local company, to scale up for the internet as well. And in order to do it for the internet, we need to be present in the coffee shops.
Yeah,
we need to be present, because people go and they see brands and they don't see Buenas Buenas. And if they don't see Buenas Buenas, it's very difficult to sell online. Friends can recommend, and we can see, like, we have people who've been to our store. I have people who write from Germany, from Spain, from Scandinavia, because they want the coffee, because we have so good coffee, and they really love it. But you see the pattern. They are recommending, right? And they see and they go and they visit offline. If you want to start your e-commerce based off specialty coffee online, it will be very difficult. They're like 100. Some time ago, someone told me that it's 180 small roasteries in Poland. 180 small roasteries in Poland. And what's everyone's unique selling point? You need to find that.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Exactly. If you cannot taste it, it's hard to buy it. Yeah. Same with perfumes. Like, if you cannot actually smell it, like, how would you know whether it's a good product, right? And so what is the trend that you are most excited about for coffee or specialty coffee that you think is growing, or you believe that people are gonna get into it further in the future?
Yeah, we are very excited, because whenever we are on the trades, like coffee trades, and we tell our audience that we will be there and we will have something special for them, they come and they know that they can see unique opportunities to buy a special coffee. So, like I told you, ram barrel, watermelon, or just very good quality standard coffee. So we are very positive about the trends that people can get a touch, and you can create audience around this gourmet product, that it's not cheap as a commercial coffee, but the audience is growing, but it's growing slowly. And the boost that we see around, it's very dynamic. So I think there is a disproportion between the number of coffee shops that are opening in terms compared to the number of people that really know what specialty coffee, because there is a difference of people who feel, oh, this coffee is different, from people who are sick for specialty coffee. There is a difference, but they are merging somehow, and they are learning and they are exploring. So we are very positive about the trends and the brand that we've managed to build for over 2 years, and the confidence for our audience. That's very important, that the people stick with us, that they are returning customers. Obviously, I'm not saying they are not buying in other shops. Obviously, they are buying. Yeah. They are buying and they are comparing. That's also good. They're buying, comparing, but they are coming back. And they're happy. And from the global perspective, that trend for sure. And the markets in general, if you get the good unavailable product, you will be able to sell it.
Got it. Are there any mistakes that you've made as an entrepreneur in the coffee business that you that you kind of know now how to handle, and that you recommend others to avoid.
Yeah, for sure. We shouldn't, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we learned. So first 2 transportations of green coffee we did over air transportation, and it's very expensive. But why we did it? We did it because we thought that specialty coffee transported overseas can be exposed to moisture, therefore it will lose their characteristic. It will not be that good as should be in the simple words, which occurred not to be true. So I went to a coffee trade in Medellin, being already in Poland and having this business in Medellin, and I talked to many great coffee farmers who simply say, yes, we do it overseas. It doesn't impact the product because the product is already wrapped in the bag that it's special for it. So 2 transportations. So just to compare the price, for 1 green kilo coffee beans, the air transportation costed us 33 zlotys, or something like around 8 euros, whereas 1 green coffee overseas can cost you €0.50.
Oh, wow. That's a big difference.
That's a very big difference. Very, very big difference. And we could have more in our pockets, but we are learning from scratch. So that's the price. That's the price.
So now all your transportation is overseas?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And we are planning to do it like in more quantities.
Okay.
Just to have more product. So another learning was that we had limited product because we were attached only to Colombian coffee, whereas people were looking for coffee from Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala, Africa. So we extended our stock. So in these countries, we are not working directly with the farmers. It's impossible to operate on very different countries, right? But we are buying this coffee from intermediaries and we are roasting, and that's how we created a better stock for our audience, and it helps us a lot.
Got it. What are some KPIs or metrics that are critical to sustain and grow a coffee business?
That's a very good question. I knew all the metrics in iGaming industry, but here I would have to mention profitability of roasted coffee. So what's the percentage of the profit coming from green coffee? So you have list of different suppliers, and you have the final list that you are selling the coffee. And in the middle, you have like I already mentioned. For instance, the green coffee loses the weight.
Okay.
There is one factor. There's transportation factor. There is a cost of people, etc. So I would say the percentage, and then obviously we are operating as we are a young business. So we have not many chains, but we are just operating on the profit.
Okay,
metric.
Got it. And I want to ask you for a specific advice that you would give someone who's just starting and someone who wants to get in the business. Let's say they're not able to go to Colombia or have their own farm. What would be your main advice?
Be passionate about it. If you feel that you have good idea, chase it and make it happen. But do not put your own idea over the signs that the audience is giving you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people are having very strong feeling about their ideas, and it's all very good because this is how the good businesses are starting. But be open to modifying, to adjusting. Just listen your audience, and then your idea will be even greater because of the financial aspects that will follow this approach.
Got it. Was there any pivot that you've made early on where you had a certain idea about how you want to do your business, and then you got certain feedback from the customers or from suppliers that made you change the way you did things?
Yes. So that's the portfolio of the product. That's it. That they say we want different coffee. So we saw very good boost at the beginning, and then people did not come that often back as we expected. They were not returning customers because there was little variety of the coffees. Even we work directly with coffee farmers. Even we had the message about being socially responsible and conjugal responsibility, etc., which we thought will be a great answer to our times. This is not. This is not. Like, people still they need to have choice. They like to change the product that they are buying. They try to experiment. They try to get something more pricey because of the occasions, Christmas, gifts, etc. Right? They every aspect of the marketing.
Yeah.
You just need to follow the guidance of the great minds that already went through this path. And it's really, regardless of the product that you have, the patterns are very similar across the industries.
What's next for Buenas Buenas?
The next one, we want to be a good importer of the green coffee from Colombia, and just distribute it to different roasteries. This is what we aim in 2025. But we need resources for it because it's much more operation. So we will try to find a partner up with some private investors. But the excitement is coming that we have everything on the ground. We are having everything. We know the culture, we know the farmers, we know how to speak with them. That's very important. When even in Thailand, we didn't speak their language, but we sat on the table, we tell them, show us the green beans, and we started separating good from bad. We're starting doing the selections, and there was immediate connection, and we are just very good, friendly, open-minded people. So we have this ability to work with individuals, and we have this ability to not be cheated in these countries, and then operations to make everything happen and just build something great in Poland, being a hub for green coffee from Colombia. Now this is like Germany, Hamburg, the Netherlands, Rotterdam and Amsterdam. They are having the carts and they are having their people on the grounds, and that's why they're securing this good quality coffee. Yeah. But we have everything that takes to make a bigger share coming to Poland.
Łukasz, thank you so much. That was great. I mean, I learned a lot. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will learn a lot. And for anybody starting coffee business, I hope you find that useful. And thank you so much, Łukasz, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Great.